Take a look at U.S. Bank Stadium in Minnesota, home to Super Bowl 52 on Sunday. And right down the road from Chris Carter, who is with us live from Minneapolis. Plenty of Super Bowl topics to talk about. Right now, we are going viral, Chris. All right, check out these fans at the Houston Rockets game. They didn't even practice this. I think they just sort of woke up and decided this is the way their bodies were going to move.
A lot of dance battles happen at these Rockets games.
What do you mean battles?
Like they will go from fan to fan. These two guys happen to be next to each other. But very often they will go from one fan, the lady will do a dance, then another fan, they'll cut to her, and they go back and forth. See, here we go. Here's a dance battle. So this is fellow on the left against the Dudley boys on the right. And
let's do it.
My money's on them.
Oh, he get ready to start twerking it. Okay.
CJ, by the way, offered...
It's a kid's show.
CJ offered, I think, a few $1,000s for me to reenact what the guy did on the left on camera.
There goes Jenna, the running man.
I can do it, Cece. You know I can. I've done the running man before.
The running man.
It's not running man?
The Rockets do I want to give a, that is the running man. I was just laughing that that's the dance you know.
It's a very popular dance.
Very popular dance.
Very modern dance.
The Rockets do a great job on in-stadium entertainment during the games. They're one of the best in the league at that. Shout out to Tad Brown and that team.
Is that the Red Panda? Does she do...
Red Panda goes around the country.
Oh, it's
now,
not...
she had her unicycle stolen.
We're
going to follow up on that story tomorrow, America. I promise.
We have somebody on it, so don't worry.
Yes, don't worry.
All right, time now for some stories to start the morning. Deontay's on his way. Floyd Mayweather teased a potential UFC bout when he posted a video of himself entering the octagon on Twitter. He then followed that up with another clip where he says, quote, 2018 Floyd Money Mayweather MMA, what are the odds? Now, while the story would be nothing shy of amazing for us to talk about, see, is this something you want to see, Chris Carter?
It's not something I want to see, but the only way I want to see it is if when the door comes open again, my man comes up in there, Conor McGregor. If Conor McGregor comes up in there, now I'm with, because that's what Floyd should do. I fought you in your neighborhood. Now come over in my neighborhood and fight. I'm in if Conor McGregor, but if Conor McGregor, no, I'm tired of getting robbed. I'm tired of the PR. I'm tired of it.
The problem is, in McGregor's neighborhood, they let you fight with weapons, like your legs and your knees and your elbows. Floyd's not used to that in his neighborhood. Now, if they let Floyd, if Floyd wanted to train for 6-9 months, then yeah, I'd want to see it. If they did it in 1 month, it would be a literal bloodbath, and nobody needs to see that.
Floyd could use the money, though.
Oh, yeah. We all could.
Big night for the Trailblazers. Shooting guard C J McCollum, he scored 50 points in just 29 minutes of play in a 124-108 win over the Bulls. Nick, does McCollum get enough attention for the type of numbers he puts up in Portland?
No, not at all, but that's because he plays on the West Coast. That hurts him. The Blazers have not been a super relevant team. That hurts him. And he's probably, not definitely, but probably not even the best guard on his own team. Lillard is probably slightly better than him, but he's an outstanding player and an outstanding story. Guy from Lehigh. If you look at the pictures of him when he was a freshman at Lehigh, he looks skinnier than I am, wearing an oversized jersey. Him carving out a near all-star level NBA career is an awesome story, and no, he doesn't get enough credit.
And you're right, Damian Lillard is a better player. I should have included Damian Lillard in the Kyrie Irving when him and Steph were going to battle. As a guy who can go bucket for bucket on the offensive end, Damian Lillard is a great point guard. C J McCollum, he's a good guard, but playing in Portland, we don't have the optics on him, but he is a streaky shooter and more than capable of getting 50. So it's nice to see that he's getting some good attention on his game.
All right, finally, the catch rule has been on the minds of fans and players alike all season long, and now the commissioner says it's time to consider changes. Roger Goodell spoke about how the rule will be tweaked in the future. Take a listen.
There are a lot of people who have different perspectives on that. There was a lot of disagreement in the room, what a catch and what a catch wasn't. And so people with great football experience can disagree on that. As an example, I've said this before, but Chris Carter believes that you should make a catch, you should stand up and you hand it to the referee, and if you don't do that, it's not a catch. And I admire and respect him a great deal. But there are others who have a view, if you get possession of it and you get that second foot down, it's immediately a catch. So I think intelligent and thoughtful and People who have great football experience can disagree on what a catch is or what a catch isn't.
CC, we've been arguing all morning. Was that you they were talking about? I said it was. Nick was like, no, there's like 1,000 Chris Carters.
Yeah, it's nice to get your name mentioned, but anytime someone says, with due respect, or I respectfully disagree, it don't seem like things going to turn out in your favor. But yes, that was me.
And did you hear what the commissioner, your friend, said? Intelligent people can disagree on this one, Chris Carter. Chris,
oh, yes.
Chris has the, before you go on, Chris, I just want people to understand, Chris has about as high of a standard in that room, Chris. The highest standard for what a catch should be was yours, correct? Like,
yes.
Nobody wanted it to be harder than you did, right?
You were definitely at one end of the spectrum.
Yes, and it's not one of those old-timer things where me being a guy who played the game in a certain era thinks that, you know, the old rules and everything. In professional football, they've made everything more complicated. We criticize the players more. They're paid a lot of money. And the expertise that we expect is no different than going to a Broadway play. You expect different than when you go to a movie. And that's what the National Football League is. It is the best collection of 1,600 players that we have in the world. And as far from a pass-catching standpoint, Dusty, our great statistician, lets us know they're throwing the ball more than ever. And guys are having success with it. NFL coaches like the passing game, and the wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs, they like the current passing game. But our fans are disconnected from the game because every other Monday we have a call that's in dispute. We would like our fans and also the guys who are playing and catching the ball that they have a clear understanding of what the catch rule is. So I believe, you know, Jesse James, he's not a friend of mine because he made this more complicated in falling in the New England game. But I think that Roger Goodell and his love for football, Troy Vincent, the director of operations, his love for football and their appreciation for our fan base, which is our customer. They are trying to tinker with our customers so our customer is more satisfied. And we believe we can make it simpler. We believe we can change some of the verbiage. And I believe going to the ground, it's not my favorite thing, but going to the ground, I believe it will be changed from a language standpoint, and I believe the rule will be altered just a little bit to make it somewhat less confusing. I'm not going to say easier, but it will be easier, but less confusing for our fans.
So just to be clear, I just want to make sure I understand. You believe that when we kick off the next game after the Super Bowl, regular season next year, the catch rule, not only the verbiage, but maybe the actual rule will be tweaked slightly to make it, I guess, technically at least slightly easier for something to be a catch rather than incompletion. You think that's where this is headed?
Yes.
Okay. All right. As mad as that makes you. And I think there's some ulterior motives. Chris Carter's got 1,101 catches. And he's like, man, there's guys on my tail. Let's make it harder and harder and harder.
You can't use your hands to try to catch the ball. And you can't see. Yeah, that should be the new rule. All right, let's move on to the New England reports of dysfunction between Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and Robert Kraft. They've been much discussed in the last few weeks, and it's a question the trio has mostly deflected. But Kraft was asked about it in a recent interview and said, quote, there's no dysfunction, there's tension. So, CC, does tension within the Patriots organization have any impact on the field? Because so far it doesn't appear to have. But now you're at this big game on this big stage. I just wonder if any of that is going to carry over or spill over onto Sunday.
I used to have a friend of mine, a very good friend, and I'm not going to mention his name, but he was on a team with Bill Belichick for 2 years. Him and Bill Belichick sat next to each other in the meetings. Obviously, Bill wasn't the head coach then. Bill Belichick did not speak to him for 2 years. Now, this is a great player, veteran player, not a Hall of Fame player, but right outside of the Hall, very, very good football player. Bill Belichick, no matter where he is, there is tension. All right? That's the way he coaches. That's the way he teaches. That's the way he runs his operation. So I believe Mr. Kraft did a great job of explaining. You know, in high-profile jobs, yes, there always is a little tension. But dysfunction, yeah, I would totally agree with him. It's not dysfunction. They got a system. And we know who is the ultimate boss. and that is Bill Belichick. But it's just been altered with the tension of Bill thought he had control of the 53-man roster, and Mr. Kraft said, well, but my son gonna play as long as I own this team. So Bill, the tension is he's not controlling the 53-man roster. There's no dysfunction in Tom Brady wanting to continue his career with the New England Patriots.
Well, so that's, I think, a very interesting distinction. And to answer Jenna's question, I do not think this will have any impact on Sunday. But could this have a rippling impact on how long people stay with the Patriots, how long Bill Belichick wants to coach there, things like that? Here's why I think it could. You're right. There's always been tension surrounding Bill Belichick, but he has almost always been the cause of that. And it is one thing for people to be tense because they are unsure of their relationship with you. It is another thing for you to feel tense because of your relationship with your boss and how that affects your relationship with one of your subordinates, as odd as it is to call Tom Brady a subordinate. Technically, he is. That is the different dynamic in New England. That there's always been tension in that rope, if you will. But now it's being pulled on from multiple sides. And that's the part that, again, I want to be very clear. I do not think that will have any impact on Sunday. The only way the dynamic between Brady, Belichick, and Kraft has any impact on Sunday is if Brady gets hurt. And instead of being able to go to Jimmy Garoppolo, they have to go to Brian Hoyer. Assuming Brady plays the whole game, it will have no impact on Sunday. But how it affects this team moving forward and the moves they make or how long people stay, I think that tension, not only coming from Bill Belichick, but also coming from Robert Kraft, I think that's a real thing that we need to look at. And it seems like the parties, Kraft in particular, now multiple times in multiple interviews has acknowledged is a real thing that exists.
Yeah, I think also, not only what Kraft, he's verbalized, not only what Jonathan's verbalized, but let's look at what's going to happen. Let's go beyond the game. Let's say the Patriots lose this game, all right? You lose a couple of your lieutenants. You lose Matt Patricia. You lose Josh McDaniel. I could start to see some cracks in where some type of tension, and now Belichick doesn't have people he's communicated with, working with him to help Bert, because he's a great delegator of authority. Then I could see, I don't know what to call it, but it's something I want to watch. When you lose your offensive and your defensive coordinator, and if they were to get upset in Super Bowl 52, I believe it's very, very interesting to watch the offseason and see how New England moves forward.
But, Cece, isn't everything okay when you're winning? I mean, we kept talking about the issues that the Steelers had. As long as they were winning, they were just issues, and that's how the family dealt with it. And then as soon as they lost, we said, well, look, there's a whole series of things that the team did poorly over the course of the season, and it finally caught up to them. The thing the Patriots do so well is they do not let any of that stuff ever seep onto the field. They are so good at compartmentalizing football from everything else, and as long as they are winning, I feel like everything remains intact. You're right. They lose on Sunday, and now all of a sudden, maybe they start losing their coordinators. Maybe Brady has a terrible game. Well, they're going to lose their coordinators anyway, regardless. But you do start seeing some fractures in the infrastructure.
Well, this is the thing that I don't think we as fans, we act as if people in New England, like they're not humans. Like they're just robots. Like Belichick's a robot and Brady's a robot. Like, no, winning does not cure everything. Why are people talking about Tom Brady retiring? That's all he's been doing is winning. He's won 2 out of the last 3 Super Bowls, so winning has not been enough. It's about control. When you get power like Belichick has and Kraft have, it's about control. So who has control, I believe, ultimately could be a wedge that is a problem for this organization.
All right, we'll take a break. Let's talk some basketball. Coming up, is LeBron about to return to the villain role? Who writes these teases?
You do.
Next on First Things First.
I mean, it's damn near fake news, your teases.
Hey.
For deals on the latest flooring trends, get to Lumber Liquidators. This week, all water-resistant laminate is on sale. Get pre-finished